Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Comeback Sports Podcast. I'm your host, AJ, and this is Season 2, Episode 9. We got a jam-packed filled episode as usual. We'll be talking about wide receiver DK Metcalf's track debut, the Bulls' future, Justin Fields to Chicago, and Aaron Rodgers' future with the Packers. So stick around and find out some more. Now for your quote of the week. Excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. What does that quote mean to me? It's not that you do one thing and that defines your excellence, and it requires work. You got to have good habits to continue on to lead toward this path of excellence that you do for yourself. Just because you have one good day does not mean that should be the only thing that defines your excellence. It's the good habits that led to that good day. Meaning, let's say you're at work and you have a good month on reporting for your clients' numbers. How'd you do that? Well, you obviously made sure you stay on top of your tasks and always checked and did things to improve performance. And the same thing applies in sports. You don't throw 20 plus touchdowns on one day overnight. You got to practice over and over, and you got to learn. You got to watch film. So to me, this quote just says, if you just kind of get in the habit of improving yourself, the excellence will happen. So it's good to be back. I feel like I don't post as quickly as I used to, and that's kind of because I just get busy. I just came from a wedding in Wisconsin. A good buddy of mine from college got married, and I met some of his friends, went golfing. I went shooting. It was pretty cool. I did some trap shooting. You know, you shoot the little clay pigeons that go into the sky. I missed most of them, but when I did hit them, it felt pretty good. Yeah, and then as always, work just keeps me pretty busy. I started this challenge at work, just set up for us. It's a lip sync challenge. So me and a group of people are doing this music video where we lip sync a song. And whichever group or contestant has the best video, they get a cash prize from work. So we are definitely putting a lot of work into that. So just a couple things. I want to do a shout out to Russell Westbrook, who set a career record for most triple doubles on Monday, which was 182. So props to Westbrook. And I would like to kind of just give a moment of silence for two people. One being Colt Brennan, a former Hawaii football player. He recently passed away. And then I would like to give a moment of silence to Tariq Cohen's brother, Terrell Cohen, who recently passed away as well. So I'd just like to take a quick moment. All right. Now that we got the introductions and the little recaps out of the way, let's kind of jump into our topics. So starting with DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf competed in the 100-meter dash on Sunday. He placed last in his heat, which was 9th place, with a time of 10.36 seconds. Among the total runners in the race of 2 heats, I believe, he placed 15th out of 17 participants. Prior to this event, DK posted an Instagram video telling people to watch for him in the race. The sports media, like ESPN, wanted to make this something super big as usual. They made predictions he would not only make the finals for this track event, but qualify for the Olympics with his top receiver speed. My thoughts on this? As a football fan, I loved it. As a track athlete, I loved it even more. A good, likable player in the football game wanted to try a new challenge. He didn't say he was gonna win it no problem. After he raced, he mentioned that track speed is definitely different than football speed. When I watched the race, he definitely held his own and was positioned pretty well in the start, which was impressive to me for a guy who hasn't quite mastered his start off the blocks yet. Not to mention, he was the biggest dude in the race. I think he weighs 135 plus pounds, and his track speed look comparable to the other track runners in this race. It's pretty incredible, honestly. I hope he races again, maybe with some other NFL players, like Tyreek Hill. I think that'd be kind of cool. Or Ted Ginn Jr. This kind of publicity is something the track world needs. I have no problem with players wanting to join the fun. I think some people did have a problem. The track world was kind of pissed off at the media for undermining track athletes by saying these guys can automatically compete with elite runners that have been doing this for many years. But after this race, we probably won't be seeing that kind of hype. If so, who cares? The hype brought extra eyes to watch the events. Maybe one day we will see an event where track athletes will compete in a dual meet with more NFL players in running and field events. Maybe NBA players can join the fun too in jumping events. I would like to see like Zach LaVine do like the high jump. I think that'd be so cool. Let's kind of jump into the NBA play-in tournament since we're talking about NBA players. So what is the play-in tournament? It's a new single-game elimination tournament to determine the 8th spot in the NBA playoffs. In normal circumstances, the top 7 are guaranteed a spot. Now the top 6 are the only ones guaranteed. Let's kind of go over the specifics. So this tournament will be, I believe, in a week or two from now. The 7th place team will host the 8th place team in a one-game matchup. The winner of that game will earn the number 7 seed in the playoffs. The 9th place team will host the 10th place team in a one-game matchup. The loser of that game is eliminated. The loser of the 7th place versus the 8th place game will host the winner of the 9th place versus 10th place game in a one-game matchup. The winner of that game will earn the number 8 seed in the playoffs, and the loser of that game will be eliminated. Did you catch all that? Yeah, it was kind of a little confusing for me at first. But there's been some reactions regarding this play-in tournament. Dallas star Luka Doncic doesn't really understand it. He doesn't really understand after playing 72 games, you're in the 7th seed and you lose 2 in a row, you're automatically out. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, thinks it causes double stress since the season's already compromised due to COVID canceling games. LeBron, of course, doesn't like it. He thinks the person that made the idea should be fired. My thoughts on that? I understand LeBron's frustration because his team has been at a decline due to lingering injuries, and they are currently sitting at 7th, maybe 6th. I might be wrong, and he's afraid they might be demoted to this tournament. If I were a 7 or 8 seed team, I would be upset. You work your ass off all season, then you have to play extra games to prove your worth again, in an already shortened season, as Mark Cuban mentioned. If I were a 9 or 10 seed, I would be happy for a chance. As a fan, I like the tournament because they did it last year in the NBA bubble, and I saw some Showtime performances, and it was something refreshing to watch. In the league's eyes, they thought because it worked so well that they could do it again under these circumstances. However, it's kind of a slap in the face to some of these teams that grinded. I don't see this happening after the pandemic is fully over. It just doesn't make sense that a 7 and 10 seed team are 4+ wins apart. This tournament was good for the NBA bubble due to the very unusual circumstances, but it just doesn't make sense for a full regular season. Speaking of the play-in tournament with teams having a chance, unfortunately this team may not have a chance. Let's talk about the team that I follow most, the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls are kind of in this weird position where they still have a chance to kind of make this play-in tournament, but they're also too good for a lottery pick. So the season is pretty much almost over. By the time this is recorded, the Bulls just lost to the Brooklyn Nets, and they might be eliminated from the play-in tournament by the time I post this, or they might still have a chance. Either way, they most likely will not make the playoffs. This season, let's kind of go over what they've done. The Bulls hired a new GM and head coach. They drafted Patrick Williams with a first-round pick and got Nikola Vucevic, Wendell Carter Jr., and Otto Porter Jr. were traded away in the process of the trade for Vucevic. Zach LaVine earned his first All-Star appearance. The Bulls are currently sitting at 11th place in the Eastern Conference. Compared to last season, their win percentage increased from 34% to 42%, a huge increase from the previous year. Now that the season is almost over, what's next for the Bulls? Billy Donovan, the head coach, isn't on the hot seat just yet. Considering the fact the Bulls had a higher win percentage with him as a head coach, we can expect that to stay the same next season or possibly improve again. The Bulls don't have a first-round draft pick, which was part of the trade to Orlando for Vucevic. Within the second round, they could get maybe a true point guard player, not a scorer, because that's what Zach and Kobe White are for. Someone whose sole job is to just pass the rock. Someone like Deshaun Nix or Miles McBride from West Virginia. I think those would be good picks. But we have to remember, the Bulls still have Marko Simonovic, their second-round pick from last year. He is still playing overseas in the Adriatic League, but he could come in next season. Arturas Karnivasovas has mentioned how versatile he is for a big man, has a high IQ, and can shoot. Kind of sounds like another Laurie-type player if his shot is really that good. They will probably replace him with Simonovic. I need to learn to pronounce it. Simonovic? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm sure one of you guys will correct me in the comments, honestly. I think the Bulls can make another leap this coming season if they just learn how to play together. I feel like there's been a lot of moving around with players and minutes, and they just couldn't fully adapt this season. The offseason will be crucial for them. This is a very talented team, especially on offense, but they need to get a role player who can pass to improve that game even more. Improving the team's defense would definitely be huge for them too. So I'll be looking out for the Bulls, and I'll keep you guys updated on anything that I think is important to mention. Now that we got done talking about the NBA, let's kind of jump into some football. So let's start with Chicago. Justin Fields, the quarterback from Ohio State, got drafted by the Chicago Bears. The Bears moved up to the 11th pick in the draft to go get him. At Ohio State, Fields was a two-time Big Ten champion. His sophomore season, he threw for 41 TDs and 3,200 yards, and has been to the college football playoffs twice. In high school, he was highlighted in the Netflix show QB1 because he was rated as the best dual quarterback in his class. He's known for his ability to being very athletic, which is something that not all quarterbacks have. He can run when needed, and his arm is actually quite impressive. Not to mention, he has a pretty great brain. Fields had a high GPA in high school and college, so high that he was able to play at Harvard. According to Mark Sanchez, Fields scored the highest score ever in a pre-draft aptitude test that measured your recall. Players like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes have scored 108s. Fields scored a 130. He may have a photographic memory, so I'm excited to see how quickly he can learn the playbook. The biggest asset I think that Fields has is his toughness. I saw this guy get hit squared in the ribs in the semifinal game against Clemson in the college football playoffs. Homie toughed it out and proceeded to throw 6 TDs and 136 yards and get the dub. Then they proceeded to go to the championship game against Alabama. I think that's just quite impressive. Like, he was probably heavy on drugs, but he still balled out regardless. Kind of my thoughts on this pick. I love the pick. He is a piece the Bears needed. My concern was them not drafting an O-line piece first. However, they lucked out and got Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State in the second round, who is a great O-line pick in my opinion. The Bears can now protect him, and they still have a somewhat great defense. Fields now has David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen, Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Darnell Mooney. None of these guys are scrubs in my opinion. With Fields as quarterback, I think the Bears have a chance of being the second best team in the NFC North. The Vikings are a close third. They could be in the running for the division depending on what happens with the Packers, but we can discuss that later. Matt Nagy, the head coach, now has no excuse for why he can't get the Bears back on track. Trubisky is gone, and he has new draft picks. And what kind of pissed me off about Justin Fields' draft day was prior to the draft, the media and draft analysts tried so hard to find any dirt on lowering his draft stock. They spent a lot more time finding pieces of info to improve Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones' draft stock. He has been highlighted as an elite quarterback since high school, and he continued to show that in college. Sure, he's had some bad gains and made some nasty mistakes, but so have others. Fields has at least shown he can handle adversity and look good while doing it. So I'll be looking out for Fields. I won't be cheering him too hard because, at the end of the day, I am a Packers fan. So let's talk about this topic. I'm kind of surprised I'm back on this, but let's jump into it. Logan Paul is scheduled to fight Floyd Mayweather. The initial fight was supposed to be in February but got postponed due to lack of interest. It's back on, and it will be on Sunday, June 6th. What caught my attention first was the fight is on a Sunday. I have never heard of a big-time boxing match on a Sunday. Homie, that's the Lord's Day. But that explains why this fight is not a big-time boxing match. In my previous video, I already go in depth about my thoughts on this fight. To briefly explain, no one should take this fight seriously. It's a professional boxer fighting an entertainer that boxes on the side. In recent news of this fight, there was a stage event, and Logan's brother, Jake Paul, was squaring off with Floyd. They were getting close, like they're about to kiss, and next thing you know, Jake said, "Got your hat," and proceeded to take his hat. Floyd kind of reached at him, and security guards were pulling them away from each other. Kind of weird and childish, but all right. That's weird, I guess. Oh, yeah. Jake got a tattoo on his leg 2 days later that says, "Got your hat." This is something that does not surprise me. These brothers are entertainers. If this generates attention, they will do it without question. Even Floyd likes this because this generates money. Floyd will win because he and his team never set up a fight where they know he can't win. Hence why he is undefeated. Logan's a big dude, and Floyd isn't a knockout artist. This will probably go into all rounds, and Floyd will probably win by decision. Or Logan will screw up, and Floyd will find an opportunity for a TKO, kind of like with Conor McGregor. I've seen Floyd take some hits, and he shakes it off no problem. Floyd has beaten Canelo Alvarez, one of the best boxers in the world right now. He is Canelo's only loss. That's kind of scary to me, even if Logan is bigger than Floyd. Regardless if Logan wins or loses, this will be a big payday for Logan, and people will be following his content afterwards. It's a win-win for him, essentially. Will I buy this fight? I don't know. I still won't buy it. I'll probably find a way to legally stream it, but don't tell anyone. So, I mentioned the first video, I will probably review it and let you guys know my thoughts of the fight. So let's take a quick break. We're going to dive into Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, so we will get back in a minute. And we're back. So let's jump into Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So Aaron Rodgers, quarterback from the Green Bay Packers, has reported that he wants out of Green Bay. There have been plenty of stories of why he wants to leave, but let's kind of start from the very beginning. In the 2020 NFL Draft, Aaron Rodgers was expecting a first-round wide receiver from a loaded draft class to get him extra help on offense. Instead, the Packers drafted his replacement without telling him. Jordan Love from Utah State was drafted by the Packers and will be sitting out until the time comes for him to replace Rodgers. Rodgers responds by playing one of his best football seasons. He wins the MVP, but he and the Packers lose the NFC Championship game. The game where the Packers made a controversial call that may have cost them the game. They kicked it instead of going for it on fourth down. Rodgers claimed he wanted to go for it on fourth down. Fast forward to 2021, Packers re-signed running back Aaron Jones, but did not re-sign Pro Bowler center Corey Linsley. They did not give Rodgers any big-name agents from other teams to help him. In April, Packers GM Brian Gutekunst confirmed Rodgers will be the Green Bay's QB for the foreseeable future. Hours before draft night, Adam Schefter reported that Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. Reportedly, he will stay if they fire Gutekunst. It has been reported Rodgers was very displeased when Packers released his wideout, Jake Kumerow. There were rumors of teams wanting to trade to get Rodgers. Those were false. The Packers have said they had no intention of trading him. Packers have met with Rodgers and his agent to discuss a compromise, but could not come up with one. Rodgers refers to Gutekunst in a group text message as Jerry Cross, the Bulls GM that led the demise of the Bulls dynasty in the 90s. Sounds pretty rough. Now the trade rumors are back, and the Broncos are apparently a front runner to get Aaron Rodgers from a trade. Oh yeah, and the Packers picked up Blake Bortles in free agency. So we don't know what's going on. My thoughts. I'm going to try my best to be fair as possible because people that know me, I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, and I've said on numerous occasions the Packers frustrate me as well. But I'll try to keep this as fair as possible. My thoughts, Rodgers feels straight up disrespected and not heard, and the Packers are simply just preparing for the future. Both parties have different intentions. Rodgers has reasons to be upset. He's a Super Bowl quarterback. Almost every Green Bay fan adores him. He probably feels he needs to provide his input. His counterpart, Tom Brady, gets to say how certain things are run at both of his teams that he's played for. When Rodgers' leadership does things behind his back, it upsets him. In normal circumstances, that's normal for a team to do that. But since he's a 16-year veteran quarterback for this team and has proven how great he is, he feels he should have a say. Packers are an ongoing organization that continues to run after Rodgers retires. They need to prepare for the future. The one thing that the Packers probably didn't expect was Rodgers having an MVP year after drafting his replacement. That most likely threw off their plan a little bit. They're also a small market team in the middle of North Wisconsin, and they can't promise to keep every valuable player they have. There are rumors that Jordan Love, the QB they drafted, is not ready to be that guy for Green Bay, which probably explains why Green Bay is so adamant on not trading Rodgers. What should they do? From what I read, Rodgers doesn't want money. He just wants to feel heard. If Green Bay wants to keep Rodgers, I think the solution is to simply trade away Jordan Love and get someone on offense to help him out, to help Rodgers out. I think that would make things right in Rodgers' eyes. If Green Bay wants to trade Rodgers, trade him away for some great players and picks. He's that valuable. Get a veteran quarterback, a good one, I would say, to help get Jordan Love back in the grooming process. Sure, they would lose a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, but if they don't like him, they can at least not be bothered by him anymore. So that's kind of a win for them, right? I just find it hard that a 37-year-old man in a professional organization that has worked together for 16 years can't come up with a solution. Like, make it work. Like, keep talking. Don't be trying to avoid this. A lot of people are on their toes about this, and we need a solution, especially for Green Bay fans. My prediction, I honestly don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this. Teams will not offer enough for Green Bay to say yes, and I assume Rodgers might have to consider retirement. He might even go host Jeopardy. He loved doing it, and the producers of the show have mentioned how good he was at doing it. If he does this, I just hope he doesn't go back to football a year or two later for another team. How he exited the first time would leave a sour taste in Green Bay fans' mouths. This could have been avoided, in my opinion, if Green Bay would have just give Rodgers a heads up. Like, hey, by the way, we're drafting a replacement. We want to prepare for the future after your time is done with us. Maybe they didn't want to tell him because they were afraid. They were afraid that they just didn't have anything to make up for this this draft pick. To me, it feels like Green Bay doesn't really value him or other players that much at times. And that part kind of upsets me. I think Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thrower of the football the world has ever seen. And seeing him leave the game like this would hurt my heart. He's the reason I got into football. I mean, I mentioned that I was just at an airport and I saw the Green Bay Packers playing and I saw this guy throw this amazing pass and that got me hooked. I kept watching and I wanted to get more and more into the sport itself. I think Aaron Rodgers loves the game. He wants to play past 40. And if he truly does, I think him and the Packers will find a way to make things right before resorting to retirement. So I'll be keeping an eye. And I just hope he doesn't leave Green Bay, but more importantly, I just hope he stays in the game. Yeah, that kind of wraps up today's show. This is kind of a short episode. I really wanted to focus on making sure I just delivered great content. I didn't want to just kind of take a random topic, just put it in my notes, and then just kind of bullshit my way through it. And I like this setup so far, and I want to keep working on making sure I provide you guys great content. Oh yeah, I also want to talk about a show that I just watched. I have a Amazon Prime Video account, so I can watch movies on Amazon, and I started this show called Invincible. It's like this cartoon superhero show, and it kind of has like a DC animation to it, kind of like Teen Titans if you ever watched that show as a kid. But Invincible, as I mentioned, is a superhero show about this teenager named Mark Grayson who discovers he has superpowers. Or actually, doesn't really discover. He knew they were coming because his dad is an actual alien from outer space who is a superhero on Earth. It was just a matter of time of when it was going to happen that his powers came to him. He discovered these powers, and he starts to realize that being a superhero is not like what it is in the movies and cartoons. Like, he realizes that people are going to get hurt, and he has to be careful what he does. He has to balance his life of being a human, specifically being in a relationship with a girl, and being a superhero. And he feels pressure because his dad is pressuring him to fall in his footsteps as a superhero. And there's actually a twist to that, but I won't spoil that. And I really like this. It's a refreshing take versus these Marvel and DC movies, live action movies to be exact, where there's kind of a human element to this. Like, it's never what it is like in the movies. I got these malt balls from my parents, and they're so good. So, thanks again for watching, everyone. Excuse me. One sec. Let's do some like ASMR. All right, thanks again for watching, everyone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this content with a friend. I will see you guys for the next episode for the season finale, so stick around.